Hello everyone, this is Serene Teffaha from Advocate Me. It's 9th of June 2021. The VCAT decision in relation to my stay hearing has been released today, and I have attached that 20-page decision from a judge, Felicity Hampel. I had a very distinct feeling that I was going to receive the decision today, and I knew that it was going to be a refusal. The reason why I knew it was going to be a refusal is because after the hearing with Judge Felicity Hampel, I was very curious to know who she is, her history, her background, what has she been involved in, what kind of judge she is, and a lot of things became very apparent to me, and I will obviously explore these issues in the context of what she is determined that I'm apparently a risk, a public interest risk. Judge Felicity Hampel, in her decision, determined that I am a public interest risk. A risk to my clients, a risk to the public, and that the Victorian Legal Services Board are apparently completely rational, and I have absolutely no right in holding out or purporting any of my allegations in relation to the Family Court of Australia, in relation to the corruption, and in relation to my activism. Now, ironically, in her decision, she is extremely contradictory, she is extremely inconsistent, and at times even distorts or lies about what occurred during the hearing and what submissions I made. Now, I turn to paragraph 15. She clearly states that this forum is not to litigate the merits of the decisions or substitute my decisions for those of the board or to determine the lawfulness or correctness of the board's decision. But then she goes on to do just that in her decision, and I will continue. Now, the interesting aspect about determining whether someone can fit the inherent duties to carry out as a legal practitioner, there is a very strong focus on case precedence, as there is no really legislative requirements that sets what are those inherent requirements. And so a lot of the judicial decisions centre around clients and public and whether or not I have breached the trust of clients. Now, she refuses me the ability for me, one, to have apparently non-parties who are clients to talk, and then I state that I'd like to call them as evidence. Now, she then purports, falsely, that apparently I never adduced that evidence and I never called them, even though 218 people can attest to the fact that I actually, in numerous points, did ask for the clients to speak or adduce evidence, and she shut me down. Now, in her decision, she distorts that very clearly, and she says apparently that I announced that I no longer wish to adduce evidence from them. That's extremely interesting, even though I had Ms. Killes right next to me wishing to communicate and adduce evidence in terms of what the VLSB was talking about her personal case. Now, Judge Hampel thinks it's completely all right to ventilate ongoing matters. She misquotes and distorts those two very vulnerable cases that I have. One is the matter in Queensland, and one is the matter in Victorian Family Court, and one is in the Queensland Magistrates matter. She reiterates a number of paragraphs but distorts them. She then distorts the facts at 41 that apparently my bookkeeper said that somehow trust monies were finding themselves in the donations and that they're staying there, which is a complete lie. A lie. She doesn't acknowledge the audit that was continuing. She doesn't acknowledge the fact that materials have now completely provided that the donations absolutely do not hold $1 of trust monies, and the fact that not one client complaint has been made that somehow I'm using trust monies as donations, which is absolute lie. And yet at paragraph 41, she reiterates that. She is all about protecting the public, the reputation of the profession and the administration of justice. And apparently she argues that it is completely rational, that the Victorian Legal Services Board are completely rational. She doesn't really adduce much further. She doesn't elaborate in terms of the ongoing matters. She doesn't actually state that she's considered any of the information that was put to her by the clients, and yet she then makes a very brazened determination at 76, and she says, I'm not satisfied on the material before me that there's a sound evidentiary basis to support the conclusion the applicant has drawn about the corruption and mismanagement that is at the heart of her public campaigning and the action she wants to bring. Well, thank you there. Thank you, Judge Felicity Hampel. The applicant has not demonstrated she's able or willing to distinguish her role as a lawyer holding a practicing certificate and as an activist and campaigner in relation to what she characterises, it's just me, I got some delusions, as corruption and maladministration in the family court and elsewhere. Well, you've just said that you will not determine the merits, but that you have determined the merits on 2 ongoing cases that you're not privy to, Judge Felicity Hampel. You've done exactly what the VLSB has done. You've judged the merits, and you say, I'm purporting or alleging or describing that my clients are vulnerable or disenfranchised when in fact they're not. Well, I don't know. Have you met my 5,000 clients, Judge Felicity Hampel? No, you have not. You have not. So you make very broad-based decisions. You say you're not looking at the merits, but then you make a decision on the merits on ongoing cases. You completely show your bias, absolutely play your bias here. And furthermore, and very, very troubling indeed, you turn your mind to the question of private interests and whether or not those interests will be impacted. You say, I make no submissions in relation to financial hardship. What, you think that it's acceptable that my livelihood is destroyed, Judge Felicity Hampel? And I'm just wondering, when I said that my livelihood is destroyed, is that not a financial hardship claim? No, clearly you're not hearing what you want to hear, and you're dissecting what you want to dissect, and you're clearly working for the establishment. But we'll come to you. We'll come to what is actually on the public record for you, Judge Felicity Hampel. You and your family. That's right. We'll put it to the public to see whether I'm diminishing public confidence in the administration of justice or whether you are, Judge Felicity Hampel. Now you continue and you say that I do not accept that the applicant is the only legal practitioner capable of advising on the merits of the case or having carriage of the case. So who cares about what the clients feel? Who cares about what the client feel? And that's exactly what you say here. You say at paragraph 84, I'm not satisfied. The private interests of the applicant or her clients weigh heavily in favour of a stay. Well, I think the clients wanted to speak. You shut them down. When I wanted to adduce evidence, you shut it down. You say that you're not judging the merits and that you do judge the merits. And then you speak on behalf of the clients, and then you make a wonderful sweeping final statement. Paragraph 91, I'm not determining the merits of the appeal. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, you are determining the merits of the appeal. The question is whether, having regard to the gravity of the findings, what's the gravity exactly? Having an opinion is gravity. Speaking up on behalf of vulnerable and disenfranchised clients, in your opinion, coming from alleged high society, you're making a judgment on clients that you have not spoken to and that you have shut down and that you have not considered. And then you went on to say the question, whether having regard to the gravity of the findings, the applicant has persuaded me it's in the public interest to allow her to continue. Well, Judge Felicity Hampel, let's talk about the public interest. Now, you think that the statements I've made publicly, or the conduct that apparently I'm accused of, diminishes public confidence in the administration of justice. Well, just a simple Google of your name and the name of your family brings about some very horrific sequences of events and quite interesting conduct on your behalf. Now, I understand, and this is just a simple Wikipedia search with regards to George Hampel. George Hampel is married to County Court of Victoria Judge Felicity Hampel, with whom he often teaches They have two children, which I understand it's your stepson and your stepdaughter. Hampel's son's Anthony Hampel, an event coordinator, was the de facto partner of Phoebe Hanjook, who plunged to her death in the garage chute of their luxury apartment in Melbourne in 2010, aged 24. Despite a coroner's finding in 2015 that the death was a sleepwalking accident caused by a combination of depression, alcohol, and still knocks, many questions remain. And good on Richard Baker for doing one of the most amazing 6-part series in relation to Phoebe's fall. Now you can Google that, and I will put the link to that so everyone can see Judge Felicity Hampel, what you star in this unbelievable saga, and a very, very important 6-part series produced by the wonderful Richard Baker into the very tragic death of Phoebe Hanjook, and what Chrissy and Anthony are all involved in, and how you and George Hampel were involved in certain things in relation to the proceedings and what occurred, even though the coroner, as was said, that exonerated to some extent. There are many, many questions that are left addressed, and I'm going to leave that to my audience to actually hear the 6-part series, to actually see what's going on. And again, Anthony Hampel was then later on as well involved in another inquest into another subsequent girlfriend who was much younger than him, Bailey Schneider, who again was found to have self-harmed through self-asphyxiation, allegedly by the coroner. And again, a lot of questions remain on that, who was also the girlfriend of Anthony Hampel. Also, Christine Hampel escaped conviction in 2013 for selling cocaine and possessing a can of tear gas. And I'm going to leave my audience to read all of this. I'm going to provide you some very interesting links, okay, into this. And we're going to talk about in the next session diminishing public confidence in the administration of justice. Because if you're going to cast aspersions on me based on opinions I have, well, I can also do the same, Judge Felicity Hampel. But there's more concrete evidence in my situation when I'm casting assumptions and aspersions about who you are as a woman, as a person in the community, and as what you purport to be a campaigner on human rights. Well, the evidence will speak for itself. And unlike you, who doesn't put it out to the public, I will put it out to the public. I will ask the public what they think once they read the public information that is there in relation to you, your family, and your conduct. Let's put it out there. Thank you.